Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, April 13th, 2015. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. The call to not only speak up but also to stand up against violence in this country is being advocated by the members and supporters of Leave Out Violence in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, loving SVG. This plea for action reverberated on Saturday, the 11th April, where a march and rally was held in Barley. Sharon Garrett tells us more in this report.
Members of Leave Out Violence in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, loving SVG, led from the front line as concerned citizens band together in a march from the Barley Square and journeyed to the Curtains playing field for a solidarity march. Noting that violence and crime is something that the police needs help with from the public, Police Commissioner Michael Charles says the law enforcement authority here will continue to partner with people and organizations who want to make a difference.
We need the support of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, of which you here in Barley are part of. And when association headed by persons like Nyla John and our team come up with these rallies and all these programs, we as a police force, we have to give strong support.
Political leaders were also at the event, which was punctuated by musical performances.
Stop abusing, stop neglecting. All children, they need our care. Education, education.
First was the opposition New Democratic Party candidate for the upcoming general elections for Central Leeward, Ben Exeter, who appealed to the males in the society to be more protective of women and children.
We have something very precious in our midst and in our family. Our women and our girl children. Our princesses and our queens. We need to treat them as such. There is no reason whatsoever for anyone to put a hand on a woman or a child.
Democratic Republic Party leader Anissa Batiste called for a more systematic approach to dealing with violence. She says there is a need for persons to respect the life and ability to choose, which is a God-given right.
So the individual who is committing the act does not respect the freedom of choice of, let's say, the victim who is being raped. He or she says no, and yet the individual forces their way and has their way. That is lack of respect for the person's freedoms and their rights.
Representatives from various organizations such as the Universal Rastafari Movement and the Black Caucus Movement also expressed the need for violence to be met with a more proactive approach. But it was a touching account of Kate Kelly, who has been speaking her life story of abuse, who stirred the emotions of the crowd. With the promise that she would not be silenced by her critics, Kate encouraged those who have been suffering and are suffering abuse to take action.
It's about many other women around the world and in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because domestic violence has no color. It has no nationality. It affects women all over the globe. So you breaking your silence is not helping just you, but many other women. And what about our children? One of the hardest memories for me to deal with is that of molestation.
In wrapping up the event, President of Loving SVG, Nyla John, applauded the government for making strides at revisiting the Domestic Violence Act. She, however, highlighted that violence and abuse continues to be a tremendous problem in this country, and it comes in different forms.
If you're being raped, or you have been raped, or you have been abused, or you are in an abusive relationship, it is okay to break the silence. We must speak on these matters. They exist within our communities. They exist worldwide. We should on no circumstances sweep this under the carpet. These are issues that we must address.
Sharon Garraway, SVG Television News.
Food safety is a cost-cutting issue and requires participation from all sectors. That's according to Chief Health Promotion Officer in the Ministry of Health, Patsy Wiley, who says that the safety of food depends on everyone. The 7th of April was celebrated as World Health Day under the theme, How Safe is Your Food? From the Farm to the Plate. The World Health Organization recommends that persons focus on 5 key areas when looking at the topic of food safety. Keep it clean, separate raw and cooked food, cook thoroughly, keep food at safe temperatures, and use safe water and raw material.
Through all the links in the chains, there are challenges and opportunities. The links are the field, transport, industry, markets, and finally the table. As we in the Ministry of Health, Wellness, and the Environment would often say that issues affecting health begin outside of the Ministry of Health. The issue of food safety is a very practical demonstration of this claim. Food safety is a cross-cutting issue, and it is a shared responsibility that requires participation of non-public health sector, including agriculture, trade, commerce, and tourism, and the support of agencies and organizations that are active in the field of food.
Chief Agricultural Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture, Ashley Kane, says food safety is not just about health risk, but about this country's livelihoods being at risk as well. He added that food safety should not be about responding to contamination, but preventing it. Kane further states that though the Ministry of Agriculture has developed programs to meet the food requirements, some exporters do not comply with these standards.
If you look at the trafficking operations, for example, is there traceability? Because that is an important part of food safety. Suppose I apply a chemical somewhere on my farm in Mespo. It enters the chain. Something happens. How do I know who has gotten that? And the system for tracing it. It could be lettuce that's eaten by a child or by an adult with the consequences of it. So for us, the question of these good agricultural practices and how we respond to it, beyond bananas, as I've mentioned to you, there's a real issue for us to look again, to learn and to understand how can we ensure that our national food supply is not one that would make us sick.
Chief Environmental Officer Neary James is urging Vincentians to be mindful of the fact that they are responsible for their own health and are expected to be smart when buying food.
We have cases where food are being displayed on the roads. Food have been displayed on the sidewalks for us to buy and use. And of course we do that. So I'm asking us who are responsible for our health. In this case, you have to take the responsibility in your hand. You have to make informed choices. Buy from persons who have credibility.
The Chief Environmental Officer says unsafe foods can have serious impacts on health and reminds persons that the expiry date on fast foods is 2 hours.
If you are in doubt, do not buy it. We deal with food and we eat it every day. There are two things I want us to be mindful about: time and temperature. Make sure that your foods have the right time and temperature.
A number of rural women in agriculture were today involved in a refresher course as the Rural Women Development and Empowerment Project came to a close. The project was a collaborative effort of Invest SVG and the Ministry of Agriculture, with funding from the European Union, and was designed to strengthen the process that promotes the economic development of women and to further create an environment of social change among rural women. Chairman of Invest SVG, Anthony Regisford, says it is extremely important that such a project was developed to enhance the proper functioning of rural women.
To strengthen, to bolster, and to equip women who are involved in activities of economic development, to equip them with the skills to impart knowledge on things to do with management, and as Bernadette says, conflict resolution, all the sorts of things that we associate with running a formal business. So, as chairman of Invest SVG, I am quite pleased that Invest SVG is indeed fulfilling its mandate in this regard. Invest SVG looks at the development of many sectors. Of course, we are mainly there to enable foreign direct investment, but a big part of what we do as well is export development.
And Minister of Agriculture, Sabota Caesar, told the beneficiaries that it is important that they see themselves as a very integral part of the productive arm of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Sometimes we see ourselves as just a group of women frying plantain chips in Orange Hill, or a group of women from Diamonds or South Rivers who would wish to get into the production of chocolate or the spices, or you are from Barley and you're involved in the blackfish industry, and we do not attach the very important value that we should and the role that we play towards the development of our economy.
Meanwhile, Minister Caesar says there is a large percentage of the workforce in SVG, specifically women, that are still locked in what he terms as the cottage stage of the development of their various businesses. The chairman of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank Monetary Council, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, will address the citizens and residents of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, the ECCU, via radio and television this evening on matters pertaining to the banking and financial sector. The address will focus on the recent decisions taken by the Monetary Council, which are aimed at improving the socio-economic well-being of the people of the ECCU, protecting the people's savings, maintaining the stability of the region's commercial banks, stimulating economic growth, and strengthening the ECCU financial system. The Monetary Council is the highest decision-making body of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. It consists of the Minister of Finance from each member country: Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, the Commonwealth of Dominica, Grenada, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Council Chairman addresses that his address will be aired at 8 p.m. A number of healthcare workers, including those at the mental health institution here, were involved in a training workshop last Thursday aimed at properly equipping them to deal with trauma patients. Facilitator and clinical psychologist to the mental health institution here, Antia Adams, said that their main focus is to reduce the number of persons suffering with mental health disorders by educating the public about the symptoms and risk factors, as well as ways in which they can be treated and prevented. According to Dr. Adams, mental health issues affect all the major aspects of society. Hence, it is important that the issue be taken seriously.
2 weeks ago, Mental Health Center launched its awareness campaign, and we are hoping by this campaign to raise the level of knowledge and to help to change the attitude of individuals towards mental health issues. So over the next few months and ongoing, we're hoping to distribute flyers in various communities, do radio jingles, articles in the newspaper, and we're also collaborating with the Agape Theatre, so they will be presenting mental health issues through drama. We're hoping to work with the schools as well to do educational and preventive work so that mental health issues will be basically nipped in the bud, and so young people will not become mentally ill.
Dr. Adams is encouraging all Vincentians to get to know more about mental health, which she says could affect anyone at any time.
For St. Vincent, we're hoping that this will strengthen the support base for trauma and crisis interventions whenever these occur, so that we will have a stronger, more knowledgeable team in terms of education and the role that they need to play. For a few years now, there has been a move to integrate mental health services into primary health care, and also read about it so you can get to know more. Not every mental health patient is violent or aggressive. In fact, they're very creative, they're very loving, they're just wonderful people, and it's always my pleasure and privilege to work with them, and I hope you will join us to work with mental health patients.
Meanwhile, the clinical psychologist is appealing to persons not to discriminate against mental health patients.
Mental health issues or disorders are similar to any other disease. If someone has diabetes, they didn't ask for it. If someone has heart diseases, they didn't ask for it. And when people have mental disorders, they also didn't ask for it. But people, because of their genetic makeup, are more predisposed to getting certain illnesses or disorders. And so mental health issues are similar to other diseases. So we should not scorn them, shun them, label them, call them crazy, but we should really support them, show them love, because sometimes when individuals come to the mental health center, they're treated, they get well, they go back to the community, but they're rejected, they're scorned, they're isolated. And so because of all of this stress, they end up right back at the mental health center. So we want to call upon families and individuals everywhere to just love and support mental health, individuals with mental health problems.
A pediatric orthopedic mission under the World Pediatric Project is currently in the state as part of their ongoing work with children and to perform surgeries where necessary. The team of surgeons held an all-day clinic at the Milton Cater Memorial Hospital yesterday and saw over 80 children, including 21 from other countries in the region. Representative of the World Pediatric Project for the Eastern Caribbean, Sister Jacqueline Brown King, says from the clinic yesterday, over 20 children were selected for surgery today. She says the program has been quite a success, allowing children in the region to have critical pediatric care.
The advantage of this was that there is continuity, there is that sense of coming again. All our families get seen, they just don't come and be seen one time, they are continued and monitored ongoing. And it's not only one mission, we have a total of 10 missions, and we involve our surgeons and our pediatricians from the region.
One of the surgeons on the team, Dr. Jeffers, says he is happy to be an SVG as part of the mission, which he says helps to provide first-class care to children who need it most.
It's a wonderful opportunity to exchange ideas, and as a clinician, as a surgeon, the day you stop learning, that's the time to go and plant peas in Tobago. Okay. You always learn, you always get new challenges, and it's a wonderful opportunity to interact and bring the best to your patients back home. I think it's important because, for example, there's a spine mission that happens in November. Prior to the spine mission happening over here, I would send my kids over to Martinique and it's quite expensive, even when most of them are self-funding. But for those who are not self-funding, even the insurance has a limit, so that the parents would have to come up with a substantial sum of money to get kids with scoliosis have their surgeries done. With this mission, it's on the house. They pay for accommodation and the airfare, and we follow them up once they get back to St. Lucia, and they get the operation done as if it was going to be done in Martinique or in the United States. So they get the same quality of care, but at a substantially low, almost no price. And it's a wonderful thing to get kids, you see a kid who's sort of bent and walking around, who is the sort of the laughing stock of the class, coming back with that sort of self-confidence and so on that the corrective surgery gives them.
Director of the World Pediatric Project in St. Louis, Missouri, Kate Corbett, says the team is delighted to be an SVG to offer service to those who are in need and could not afford it at their own expense.
It's phenomenal. The medical community in St. Louis so much likes to teach and train, and there's a need in St. Vincent for their specialties, so they're just thrilled to be able, they've been welcomed with open arms to come and work along with the staff at St. Vincent to help children who need orthopedic care. It's just unreal. I've seen parents just in tears. I've seen them just joyous of the fact that we come back every year and they're get the continuity of follow-up. We have another team that comes in November, so they're, if they have needs throughout the year, they can see our other team, and they're just so grateful and so full of lovely spirit. They're wonderful representatives of St. Vincent, because they're just welcome us with open arms, and we do the same. I'm continually impressed by the resilience of the parents that have children with different needs, not giving up, seeking help, following through when our physical therapists or our surgeons happen, to give them treatment, and just not to give up, and please, if there are other children that need orthopedic care or other specialties, because we send 9-10 different teams actually to St. Vincent, we'd love to help.
2 persons are now in police custody assisting with the investigation into the murder of a 61-year-old retired painter of Vermont over the weekend. The partially nude body of King Colinford Mattis was discovered in his yard with several stab wounds around 5:30 a.m. on Saturday. He was pronounced dead at the scene. According to reports, his caretaker went to his home to check on him and collect money to buy bread when the gruesome discovery was made. His family members and friends described him as a very generous and caring person who would be greatly missed. The 2015 edition of SVG Gospel Fest opened on Sunday evening at the Victoria Park, where persons worshipped in song and dance. Sharon Garwood tells us more on the event in this report.
It was a celebratory atmosphere at the Victoria Park for the opening of the 13th Annual Gospel Festival being held under the theme, Restoring the Land. Various Christian artists showcased their talent through song and dance.
Everything a double, double. This is the new Almighty. I'm telling you, my brother, keep holding on, keep standing strong.
Prayers were also offered for the youth and the nation as a whole.
Knowing, God, that you are able to turn every circumstances around.
We declare peace on our woman folk tonight in the mighty name of Jesus. And that, God, you will heal our lands even right now. We pray, God, that you will restore our young men.
Minister of Culture Cecil Mackey thanked the Gospel Fest Committee for continuing to focus on the spiritual enhancement of the nation.
And I want to indicate to you that the ministry and the government, we are very appreciative of your efforts, because without that spiritual development, we are lost as a nation.
Chairman of the Gospel Fest Committee, Fidel Taylor, called on Vincentians to be grateful for the blessings of God, but he was critical of the way that citizens were allowing partisan politics to divide them.
After all, we are serving the same God. Neither must we allow ourselves as a people to be divided over partisan politics, as such divisions will foster hatred and can retard the pace of our development. Let us keep politics out of the church. Let the church be the church. Let the church must be set the moral and spiritual standards in the society for our leaders, for our men, our women, and our children.
Similar sentiment was being expounded by Pastor Brent St. John, who expressed disappointment that congregations were so overcome with discord that they were now sitting on either side of the pew.
The devil has been using politics to destroy us. Can I preach the word of God? You know, some of us don't want you to preach about God, about politics, but it's true. Politics has been destroying the church. Some people are not talking to people because who is Labour and who is NDP? Let me tell you something. We are all children of the living God. And whether we are Labour or whether we are NDP, behold how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. We need to put the politics aside and worship God and live together in harmony.
The night pinnacled with a feature artist, Marvia Providence, who gave a vibrant and soul-touching appearance. Sharon Garraway, SVG Television News.